I'm joined today on Primetime Local News by Jessie Mann and Michelle Sayers, and I'm so excited to talk to you ladies today about this podcast you've started. It's the Radically Relentless podcast. So Jessie, I guess we'll start with you. Tell me about the inspiration, why you guys decided to start this.
Well, first of all, thank you, Stacey, so much for having us. We are big fans of PTLN, you know that. So it's just such a pleasure to have you reach out. We're so happy to be here. We started the Radically Relentless podcast. I had done some podcasting before, and it was just time to switch it up a little bit. And my previous podcast partner decided to go back to school and do some really exciting projects. And I had driven out to Beauty from Bees. I wanted to meet Michelle. And so we sit down, we do a podcast, and then we realize, wait a minute, do we have something here? Should we be doing this together? So I actually went to podcast with her. And then before we knew it, we were sitting down in Timber Cafe and all of these different places around Lloyd, just hashing out what we wanted to do, who we are, and what we wanted to bring listeners. And before we knew it, Radically Relentless was born. And it's been a whirlwind, and we're so happy so many people are listening and loving it. And I mean, I'm so honored to be able to do this with Michelle. It's been a couple months. We feel like we've known each other our whole lives now. And we're stuck with each other now. And we're just so happy to have people listening in and participating.
Well, Michelle, I'll throw the next question at you just in regards to this podcast. I know the first couple was introducing yourselves, and then you had a chance to talk to Kelsey from Lower Shannon Farms. Michelle, how are you guys going to decide going forward who you're talking to on this podcast and what the subjects will be?
I think it's kind of interesting that you bring that up, because initially, I think when we started to discuss what we wanted to do, who we wanted to talk to, we were kind of on a different path. And now I think we've really kind of set the trail for what we want to do. Business owners, entrepreneurs, women that are like just so incredibly inspiring. One of the guests that we have recorded with, she's a childhood cancer survivor, and that story just touched our hearts. And it's just inspiration like that, women like this that get through these tough things, challenging moments, that just push through, that just prove they're radically relentless. It just brings so much light to our lives. And like, that's definitely the focus of where we want to go.
So how are you going to do this going forward? Are you going to have a regular schedule as to when you will release the podcast, or is it just going to be however it works for you guys?
And Stacey, I love that you have reached out and said, when are you dropping the next cast? What are you guys doing with your schedule? So we are obviously, everybody is, we're busy. The biggest thing is to let our topics and our guests sort of guide when we are dropping different episodes. We have committed and are doing our best to promise to drop 2 a month. As for a set date and time, the biggest thing is quality and bringing you quality stories and bringing you the most radically relentless people and topics that we possibly can. So rather than letting a schedule really guide us, we're just kind of trusting our intuition and trusting the vision a little bit to drop 2 a month and let those roll out whenever it happens, and whenever we can guarantee to stay true to that radically relentless vision that we're kind of establishing.
Now, the first 2 episodes were introducing yourself, Jessie, and Michelle, to yourself as well. Why was it important to start out by introducing the 2 of you? It's like super interesting backgrounds to listen to. I mean, and I guess that's part of the focus too, is getting to know the people on the podcast. But why did you decide to do one introducing yourselves first?
It's so terrifying talking about yourselves. And part of it was we need to put ourselves in the shoes of what we're expecting our guests to do. And that was a big learning thing for us. And we want to surround ourselves with radically relentless people who are taking the tough stuff and turning it into fuel. And we can't ask people to go there and be vulnerable with us if we're not able to do the same. So we thought we'd sit down, be vulnerable ourselves, kind of open that up and say, we're here to, here's some things we've learned along the way. We're certainly not perfect, but we're in this together with our guests and with our listeners.
Well, Michelle, I'm going to toss this question to you, Michelle, because when I listened, I'm not going to give too much away, but I was very surprised that you have a connection to the late Kobe Bryant, and I don't want you to give too much away because I want people to listen to it, but can you give me just a little bit of a backside to that story?
Yes, I know it does sound a little bit crazy actually when people say it. It happened so long ago too that it's just, yeah, something I don't really talk about very often. But of course, with him passing away, um, just kind of surfaced again some of the feelings and emotions, and hearing people talk about him, talk about the court case. Yeah. So basically, he was charged. Had some charges brought forward against him. Somebody had said that he sexually assaulted her, and we did know her through a friend and happened to be with her a month after she had claimed these allegations. And we just witnessed things that were very important, critical kind of pieces to the entire case. So they flew us out to Colorado, and we actually testified on his behalf. Yeah, it's crazy. So we did talk a little bit about it, but we're definitely going to do a full episode on that as well.
Well, Michelle and Jesse, thank you so much, first of all, for doing this podcast, because it's so nice to hear stories of local women, especially that are inspirational. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of people that do a lot of things behind the scenes in the Lloydminster area. And, you know, Michelle, you're from Marwayne, that they just don't get credit for it. So this is a great way to highlight it. So going forward, do you see this as something that you maybe would like expand on, possibly, you know, if there's a demand for it, do more, or are you just going to take it slowly first and then see where it goes?
Thank you. Showing so much interest in the podcast and for promoting it and loving it. We appreciate that so much. Definitely. If we have time, Jesse and I both have crazy schedules. If we have more time to do more recordings, and we have people that we definitely need on the podcast that we want to showcase, we will do more for sure.
All right. Thank you, Michelle and Jesse. I'll just wrap it up with you. Can you give us the information, people, where they can find podcasts, where they can find info about episodes and such?
Yeah, you bet. So we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check us out there. We are also on Instagram, so you can check us out there. And we really love when we have people reaching out. It's been great to have some people suggesting guests and suggesting topics. We love that. Reach out with us. And we've got some pretty sassy, radically relentless podcasts and some daily sort of motivation pieces that come out on there. So yeah, everybody can check that out there and reach out to us individually or through the Instagram. And yeah, we love to connect with everybody and find out what they love and what they'd like to hear more of.